Welcome to the fifth episode of HBSA Alumni Spotlight. I'm your host, Adrian Rodriguez. I have a great guest on board, and I want to introduce herself to y'all. Please welcome Genesis Arellano.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really excited to be doing this podcast.
Awesome. Genesis, thank you so much for being on this podcast. I'm excited.
Me too.
Just right off the bat, first question, where are you now?
Okay, so now it has officially been, I guess, 4 months since I graduated from U of H. I am a Bauer alumni, and right now I'm working with a software company called Heavy Construction System Specialists, and our industry is focused in construction. However, the company that I work with is solely like tech. So I'm in a tech company that's based out of Sugarland. So I'm here in Houston and working in technology.
It's cool. That's awesome. Work for a great company.
Thank
That's
you.
great. What were the challenges and obstacles you went through your time at college? And also, what are three attributes that help you throughout your college journey?
Okay, I'm gonna get like super personal on this question. So when I first came into college, um, I'm a first generation student, first generation college graduate. So I didn't really have anyone to get like ask questions to and try and get like a path to figure out like which way to go. A lot of my challenges I feel like were very personal. So when I first got into U of H, I was very awkward. Like I could not make small conversation or small talk. I didn't really know like introduce myself to people. It was really hard for me to kind of figure out how to feel comfortable doing those things. So I feel like that was one of the biggest challenges that I had. And one of the biggest things that helped me through that was being in HBSA and exposing myself to different people that I didn't know, like different backgrounds of different people, because you start to realize like there's so many different people that are so different from you. And I feel like that was one of the biggest things. Like I didn't know how to network with anybody. I didn't know like how to carry a conversation. So that was one of my personal challenges. And along with that, I will have to say, and I think that every student kind of goes through this, and it's managing your time while you're in school. You have like so many different, just like life obstacles that you're trying to manage, like having to go to work, having to make time to study, also, be really involved in school, and um, trying to balance all those things to be as well rounded and successful as you can be. I feel like that's been that was one of the biggest things that I had to learn during that time. Not to mention that a lot of the stuff that was going on was in person, like all of the events that we had, and all of like being at class. All of those things was really hard for me to kind of like get control of, and even up until like my senior year when I had even uh, more responsibilities and more things that I had to take on. But what are the three attributes that helped me through my college journey? I feel like let's talk about it. Um, Resilience. There's a lot of stuff that happens. It might be in your personal life, like with your family, or with your friends, or just like in classes that you're not understanding. Let's say like you have to drop a class or something that's really hard and you can't get through it. Um, you have to be able to pick yourself back up from those things that kind of knock you down, some things that they're not easy to kind of like just get through, because those things come up. And it's not, college isn't only about getting grades and trying to like turn in your projects. There's stuff that comes up and you have to be able to pick yourself up again, to finish your goal of, graduating and getting through that. Another thing that got me through it was ambition and wanting better for yourself, like wanting better for myself. um, you don't really get a lot of growth out of just going to classes and getting your grades, like getting good grades out of them. I feel like you really need to want that. You really need to have that want for yourself to advance in your life and to be better and to develop as a person, because you don't want to graduate college and then look back and feel like you're the same person you were when you first started. So definitely that's a fuel, like wanting better for you, whatever it is that fuels that, to want better for yourself, to help maybe your family, or to just advance and get into like a different place in your life. That really has to come from you wanting that, like being hungry for that. And um, you have to be committed to it. I think another attribute that has helped me is being open to change. And I think that's something that everyone has to kind of get used to. Like when you're going through your college experience, not everything is going to be the same. It's not going to be super easy all the time. Like I mentioned, with having to be resilient. Um, you'll meet different people, and you'll start spending your time in other things that you didn't always do. And being open to challenging yourself and putting yourself in those like really uncomfortable situations that help you advance. So I feel like those are. And also I think another thing that's really important is having faith in oneself, like having faith that you're going to be able to get through whatever challenge you're putting yourself in, um, because sometimes it can be hard.
Yeah, I totally agree with you about like better yourself. Right before I graduate, I want to make sure like I'll take advantage of the opportunities that will benefit me in my personal growth as a student, as a professional, and as a leader.
Mhm.
That's great. That's awesome. Next question. Um, right before I ask this question, this month is May, and a lot of people are graduating, regardless you're like a college grad, high school grad, or whatever. This month, uh, graduation season. So when you grad, so you're a recent grad. So this question to you is, what were the lessons you learned from your time at U of H?
One of the biggest things, and I feel like this maybe has been said in different occasions very frequently, but it really is about your growth. Like some of the lessons that I feel really stuck with me, where I'm really not going to get anywhere in my life, in my career, in just in general, if I don't keep putting myself in areas where I'm uncomfortable. um, it, Always having to challenge yourself to learn about different things, and just to be like at a different level, always leveling up is something that has a really big impact in your overall success. Like when you look back at things, like none of the things that you really feel accomplished in were super easy, so I also didn't have like any peers when I was getting into college or when I started off. I didn't have any friends that were going with me to all of these like events and um, like recruiting mixers and stuff like that. I had to feel more comfortable doing these things by myself and meeting people who also wanted those things for themselves. So that leads into like my second part of this. Um, you really get what you put in, right? And like as much effort that you exert on to the work that you're doing for yourself, and even in school, like with your projects and whatnot, you're not going to get more than what you're working towards, like you have to put in that effort. um like sometimes, and especially in my degree, I felt it a lot more with management information systems. You can't kind of just like and I'm not sure if I can say this, but you can't really half-ass the work that and the studying that you're doing. You have to really dedicate yourself to learn as much as you can, and be fully developed in those things, because you don't want to get to like the end of graduation and be like, dude, I didn't learn anything while I was here, and like I didn't get the job I wanted. And it's like, okay, well, did you put in the work to get there? Like, when it comes to like recruiting with the companies that you want to, like, did I connect with the right people? Did I put in the work, to meet with them and start this like networking opportunity with them, and using all the tools that you had at your advantage, especially being a student. I know Bauer has a lot of options, but even like with the people that you meet and that you're networking with, they all know someone and they can always help you in some way. Um, so you really get what you put in, and if you really are hustling and you're really trying to get this scholarship or get an opportunity to go intern somewhere, you have to put in that work. Um, and another thing I feel like people need to really gauge is like, you need to surround yourself with people who want that same thing that you're working towards, like to be better. And that's one of the greatest things about HBSA is like the people that I met, the friends that I made. Now that I've gotten towards the end of my college career, I've seen a lot of them also get jobs that they wanted. They recruited with the right people that they wanted to be with, and they all put in that work. And it's really encouraging whenever you're surrounding yourself with people who are working to be better, to attain the goals that they set out for themselves, because you can't waste your time while you're in school. Like, you really have to be focused, and you really have to be, you know, working towards your end goal. And I feel like being around people who help encourage you to do those things and who also might know more tips. So, like, for example, my friends and I, like, whenever we're trying to send an email to a recruiter or something, we'll be like, hey, can you please read this email? Can you make any changes to it? And they help you. They'll encourage you to do it. Sometimes, you might be too scared to do those things, or it really is nerve-wracking, like, when you do it. But um, it's having that support system and that encouragement from them too, because they're all focused on that as well.
And also great to hear. Yeah, especially I agree about you cannot like have asset. You gotta put like everything you do, you gotta put like full effort into it.
Hmm.
And also just don't waste any time in college because college is a one-time thing, and once you're done, I mean, it's over.
Hmm.
You into the real world.
Oh, and another thing I didn't mention was you kind of just have to take some chances sometimes. Like, sometimes you might feel like you're not very prepared to do something, or you might feel not super adequate for it, or you don't meet all the requirements to do something. Sometimes you just kind of have to like go for it. Just go for it, and you never know what's going to happen. You really don't. Like, the worst thing that anyone can ever say is like, no, it's okay, like, we're not looking for something, or it doesn't matter what it is. Just taking chances on yourself is something that I learned about my time there too.
Yeah, same. Just definitely go for it. I mean, the answer is always gonna be no if you don't like go for it. Next question. How was the transition from college to the real world?
Well, I can definitely say that college has a very structured timeline. Like, whenever you're a freshman, they say like, okay, you need to take these classes, you need to work on getting through this, or you know they have like these classes laid out for you. And there's also like organizations that you can join, and you kind of see that being at Bauer too, like, okay, I can join TBLCP, or I can join a different student organization, and run to be an officer and stuff. And I know that that'll help me in my in my goals, right? That's not the case, when you're kind of like set free after you graduate. it's kind of like what you start asking questions to yourself, like what am I going to do next, like what is my next project for myself. Because I mean, now that I am working full time, and you only have so many hours in the day to kind of dedicate to yourself, but it's really, you don't only want to leave like your growth and your development into just your career or your job. Is what I'm saying. Like you don't want to leave it just in your job, like your career and yourself. Like what are you working towards next? Like what are the next steps that you're going to take now that you're like you're set free in the world. You know what I mean? So those are some of the classes. I mean, the situations that I've put myself in. Like what is my next step? What is my next goal? Because it's not structured, and you can start doing so many different things. Um, Another thing though is like projects that I work on now. It's nice that I get paid for them, and I don't have to worry about you know any exams and any of those things. But you do have to say like, what am I going to be doing next? And that's kind of just been like my current situation now, because I haven't been out of school for very long. But it's always going to be like, okay, how can I advance? Like where can I level up in my life? So it really is just like you have a lot more free time for sure, but you need to use it wisely. You don't want to not get anywhere when you're 30 and look back and you're like, did I, or like at any point in your life, like next year, the year after that, you want to look back and think like, okay, I'm getting further and further. So there's a lot of more free time, but you have to use it for your advantage.
That's cool. Um, Next question. Have you ever had a mentor throughout your college and professional career? And what role did they play in you growing as a person and in your career?
So I think if there was something that I regretted about college, it was not having a mentor. Um, I remember signing up for a mentor when I was in HBSA, but I didn't really keep up with them. Um, that was like one of the biggest things. And I've seen people who do have really close mentors, and that they stay in contact with, and they help them through different parts of their lives. Because obviously you want to have someone who's been through it that can give you like direct advice, especially if they've gone through similar things that you're going through. And for anyone watching who hasn't signed up for the mentorship program, I highly encourage you to do that, and stick with messaging your mentor and reaching out to them. I know that they are busy. Like most mentors have like, or just people who have graduated have like their own lives going on and everything. But sticking to that, I think like some of the times that and I know some people can relate, that I didn't reach out to my mentor was because I felt like, I don't know, I didn't want to bother them, or like stuff like that. But they signed up to help you, and they want to help you. And um, that was definitely something that I wish I would have stuck more towards, and used it to my advantage more. But I will say that I didn't feel like I was falling behind by not having one, because having people like my peers in HBSA and like the students that I surrounded myself with, they were always helping me with like signing up for different things that like would help me, or like they always encourage you to take part in different opportunities, is what I'm saying. So um, I I highly encourage having a mentor, and I wish that I would have done it myself. But I also feel like I really had a strong support system when I was in HBSA. And now the difference is that you can have a mentor who's in a different place in their life, um, who can offer you different solutions or different advice, because they have a different perspective from where they are. So definitely, I wish I would have done that. I did not, but like right now, what I'm doing is like reading from different people that I feel like are very successful. Definitely have picked up reading books more, and that's part of like how I'm trying to better myself.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Next question. What helped you realize to pursue the career you are in now, and when did you realize it?
So for me, I realized that I wanted to stick in technology when I was interning in a tech company. So I feel like interning plays a very big role, if you don't already have experience in it, and finding what path you wanna follow, because you never really know until you're actually in it. Because as students we have an idea of what something is like, but you're never completely sure, and you don't know how it's going to be like whenever you're actually there. So, and that's like the biggest decision that you have to make, especially after graduation. So, trying to immerse yourself in different opportunities that you think you might be interested in, take those chances, and try to learn about where you're going to be at or where you feel best, because that's what happened with me. Like I interned at HCSS, and I loved it there. I love the company, I love the people that I work with, I love the projects that I'm working on. It's exactly like what I studied in school. And um, so you also, another thing that I had to ask myself was, does this align with like the future that I want? So one of the biggest things about working in technology is the industry itself, and how people interact with each other in that industry, which is something that I really enjoy. But also, working on like long-term goals, like does this align with what I want my future to be like? So for me, one of the biggest things that I noticed, especially during COVID, was how being in the tech industry, and I'm sure in others industries as well, but being able to work remotely was something that was like a something that I really like, and is now a passion of mine, because I've also been able to travel since I've been out of school. So I've been to different locations, and have still been able to work, and that's something that I really love, and that's something that I continue to work towards. So being able to work remotely is another thing that really piqued my interest when I was looking into my career. But in school, it was mostly interning at these different places to find what it was that I really wanted to do, and like that's the biggest focus. And if I had to give someone advice about that, it would be to intern and to keep trying to find like where do I fit best, and communicating with people who work in those industries, to figure out, and is that for me? Do I like this? Do I feel happy? Do I feel fulfilled?
Definitely agree.
Yeah.
Um, if you can, next question. If you can give yourself any piece of advice, what would it be?
um I had to sit down and think about this one a lot, um, because I think one of the biggest things for me when I was in school, um, it was learning how to be more selfish with my time, uh, giving myself the time to grow. Because, like I previously mentioned, there are so many opportunities that you can take while you're in school, right? And you have to be really selfish with the time that you have while you're there, because it is going to end, and it's like kind of like a, you're kind of shielded a little bit while you're in school, because you have these opportunities that you can take and you can mess up in. You can be like, okay, well that's not for me, or doing different activities, or working with different people. um, but being selfish with your time plays a very big role in how you're advancing in yourself. um, you don't want to be worried about things that are distractions. Like you really need to hustle whenever you're in school. You really need to take all the opportunities that you can to learn from, and retain that knowledge to be better. So I feel like, for all of those who are officers, have been past officers, they know exactly what I mean. And I'm sure you might too. Like, you have very little time, like you're working and you're trying to study and you're trying to learn how to, use all your skills, and also, be working in like, or taking part in HBSA events or different organizations or doing different competitions. So, immersing yourself in activities like that, I feel like I don't need to feel so bad about doing those things, because for me, I think one of the biggest things that was hard for me to get through, and because I have a very strong like family value. So I love my family, and I love to spend my time with them. And I have friends who didn't go to U of H with me, but I kind of had to like set myself apart so that I could work on those things that I needed to. And I'm sure that you have experienced that as well. Like, you don't really have time for other stuff because you're working on the alumni director position, and you're doing great work. Let me add, but
Thanks.
it's not you don't have a lot of time, so and don't feel bad about doing that. So that was something that I really wish I would have, um, told myself back then. And also, speaking of time, making time for oneself to feel okay. You know what I mean? Like, definitely always be hustling and always be trying to be your best, but giving yourself time to enjoy your process, like enjoy the process of everything that's going on. Like, take a moment and sit in stillness and think about, okay, I'm happy with what I'm doing, and it's not always easy. Like I said, like, you're going to be stressed out, you're going to have a million things going on all at once. And I remember feeling that way, especially, towards the end, because I still wanted to recruit, like when I was in school. So my last semester, or my last 2 semesters, you could be working a job, but then you also have homework you have to do when you get home, and then you're also involved in like different extracurricular activities. So it's a lot of time that goes into that. It's really, take care of yourself, and like, go for walks, go, drink water, don't stay like jacked on coffee all the time. Um, and if you don't know how to do something, don't be afraid to ask for help. and and that's also coming from, again, me being a first generation student. I know a lot of people can relate. Like, you don't know all the answers, you don't know what's the right path, or like if this is the right way to do something, and you don't really have other people you can ask, like family members. I can't ask my family members those questions. But definitely be selfish with your time. Don't be afraid to make any cringy mistakes or be cringe or awkward. So that's something I would have told myself, because that's honestly where most of my growth has come from.
That's awesome to hear. Next question. What was your involvement with HBSA?
So I was a managing director for the fall of 2018 and spring 2019. But previous to that, I was an intern, for 2 semesters as well. So I was part of HBSA for a good while. Most of the time that I was in school, I was with HBSA. And, um, being managing director, I'm sure, uh, there's there's a lot of time that goes into that, because it's 2 semesters while you're there. So did you want me to talk about like the stuff that we did, or?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. So, being managing director, you're in charge of kind of like making sure that everyone's enjoying their time. I mean, along with like membership and the other roles that are there. You do like the intramural sports, and that's kind of like what you take on during the first semester. And you also have two really big events. That is a future, what is it called? Future Cougars Day, and I forgot the other one. Oh no. But there's two really big events, and it's really targeted towards. Wait, am I freezing?
No.
No, okay. It says my internet's unstable. But yeah, okay, so the managing director part is really trying to work with the youth, tomorrow's future, and trying to help them not be so afraid of higher education. We reached out to lower income schools to come out to UH and got them talking to college students where it wasn't so intimidating, because it really is intimidating, as a little kid going onto university campus and thinking like, whoa, I can't imagine myself being here, or I can't imagine myself being here, which is like the ultimate goal of having those events where you really want to help out the community and the children with feeling like they are able to attain higher education, because like I said, there's always people who don't have experience in that, or are unfamiliar with these like this uncharted territory. Like for me, I didn't really know where I was going to go to college, or if I was going to go to college, it was something that I wanted to do. So and then in the second semester, it was more of, it was my favorite semester, honestly, because that was when I got to really immerse myself in the Future Leaders Development Program. And there, my sole purpose was to teach these high schoolers who were in the program everything that I could to be even more successful than myself and my peers whenever they got to college, because it's so hard. There's so many things that you don't know and so many things that you learn on the way. But I really wanted to prepare them for those things. So it was like learning time management, learning about finances, which is another thing that we don't really talk about very much. But personal finance is really, really important, especially being a young adult and opening up credit cards. It's like, which ones do I do? What is credit? What is my credit score? What do all those things mean? So like those were some of the workshops that we went through. And they also were working really hard to earn scholarships, which is another thing that I really appreciated, is about how much we were giving back to these students and to the community, because like the Latino community really needs, help from one another. I feel like, in previous events that have happened throughout the year, we see kind of like how strong the Latino community can be when they work together, and also sometimes how we're not very unified. So we really have to make an effort, especially as young Latinos or Latinx people, um, to help one another advance, because if we can help more people get to like further levels, they can also do the same thing, and then it'll be like a ladder effect. So that was my ultimate goal as well.
That's awesome. It's great to hear. Oh, the other one is Youth Outreach Day.
Outreach day. I forgot it. How terrible. But yeah, those were really fun. Those were really busy. I remember everyone, we needed like all hands on deck for those, because we had like a bunch of students come out, and some of those days were like all over the place. We were walking around the whole campus with a bunch of students, and it's like, oh my god, I don't want any of them to get lost. But it was really fun. I know a lot of people enjoyed doing those.
Next question. This is the hardest question I want to ask you. Even
Okay.
if I ask even myself, this is the hardest for me. What was your favorite HBSA memory? I know there's a lot. You gotta pick, but you gotta pick like one.
Okay. If I had to be one, um, it was when wait. Okay, if it only has to be one, because I was there for a long time. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to pick the one where my students surprised me during one of our workshops. It was my birthday, and they everyone pitched in. Like my officers, first I didn't know why I didn't think of it, but all of the officers who were on my board at the time, they all showed up to my workshop, and it was like unusual for all of them to show up, because it was usually only like a couple, but they were all there, and out of nowhere, like we paused, and somebody, I think it was Sophia Bully, she came in with a cake, and everyone started singing me happy birthday, and all of my students were in on it. They all brought me like little cards, like happy birthday cards, and it was really nice to see, that I wasn't only um, like they made a connection with me too, and that my board was there to do something like that for me, because those little gestures are really important. It's like the little things that count, and so for me that was the best memory I had. But also I'm gonna throw in the bubble soccer tournament. I feel like that was really really fun and a really unique event. Um, but yeah, I didn't want to talk too much about that one. Did you go to that one?
I think so. I'm not sure. But I won't say yes.
Okay. Did you guys have one? I know you guys were planning on doing one, but I'm not
No.
sure. No? Okay.
Sadly, no.
Okay.
Last question.
Okay.
What is your message to the members?
All right. So to all the members out there listening, I feel so sad, especially like the newer ones, that you weren't able to experience HBSA in real life. It's honestly a very life-changing time when you're there, because you develop so much and you make so many great, amazing friends who to this day I feel like will be lifelong friends. And I'm sure that you've seen the alumni super tight still, like they're all super good friends, even to this day. But my advice to you is to really take advantage of all the opportunities that HBSA has to offer. You're doing a very good thing by being involved in this organization. It's honestly something like I don't know where I would have been if it wasn't for my involvement in here. Um, I learned a lot from the people that I was going to classes with and events to, but also from there, you meet so many different people that you can add, to your network, and that can help you advance. So, learn as much as you can, but definitely enjoy your time while you're there, and don't be afraid to take the next step and run to be an officer as well, because that's something that um, pushes you even further.
Awesome. That is an awesome message to the members, Genesis. That's the questions. Thank you so much for being my fifth guest on the HBSA Alumni podcast. And that's all, Familia. Thank you so much.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.